Okay, we're gonna go over the place command, which involves the dog moving onto this board and then sitting down and calming down. So the way that we taught it was with the treat and the leash. We would literally say place, and then if we needed to, we would tug the dog with a leash onto the place board. And then we give the dog a treat when he gets on it. Now, also, the dog has been taught that once he's on this place board, anything can happen and he's got to stay on it. So if he gets off of it, he'll get a sit nick as soon as the paw comes up. Now, the advantage to this scenario, Bob, is it's raised up off the ground. So it makes it physically very apparent to the dog that he's made a mistake when he steps off of the board. That's why we use the raised surface, because it's physically descriptive, so to speak, to the dog. Black and white. Okay? And so what's the big advantage to this thing? Number one, there are situations in duck blinds where we want to tell the dog to get up onto a pedestal. So if he knows this, we can use it in that function. But even more so, in a domestic scenario, it allows us to put the dog somewhere when we don't want him necessarily just running free or under our feet. And for instance, if you have guests come over, you can put him on this place board, and he'll understand that he has to stay there until he calms down. So every time guests come over, you tell him to place, put him on his board, and you don't let him off until he calms down. That way, he won't learn the bad habit of just rushing up to the door and getting in people's face like that. When you do release him, once he calms down and the guests are over, and he acts obnoxious or obtrusive in any way, you can put him right back up. It's almost like a timeout board. So it's a very ideal scenario in that function. Heel. And so at home, I would practice calling him off of it. When he sits next to your side, give him a treat, place, and telling him to get back on it. Sit. The leash correction, if he doesn't do it, is literally, let's show you the worst scenario. It would be place, and you just bring him right over there and put him on it. Okay? Heel. And then the collar correction, sit, place, nick. Now I just did it so you could see how he reacts. Is a place with the nick and the hand gesture. Okay? Notice that I'm going to do it with the dog in front of me. Sit. Place. Pointing towards the board. Good. And so we practice by running other dogs around him and distracting the heck out of him, and he'll stay in there.
If I'm eating dinner and he's on place,
Yes?
Can I leave him there?
So if I were you, I would put him on place. I'd have the transmitter right on the table next to me the first day, and I would eat my dinner, and if he moves off, nick. And you don't even have to say anything. He moves off, nick, and then I would physically probably just bring him over, put him back on it. We did not work on down with him. Just because, and the reason is there's a lot of avoidance that these guys give you when you're doing retrieves, and I kind of wanted to keep that out. Now, when you bring them back for the waterfowl training, if you want me to do that, I will.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But okay to lay down on the place board?
And yes, thank you, John. He can lay down all he wants, because this isn't us trying to torture him and have him sit in a posture for a long time. It's just, hey, that's when I tell you to get on there, you have to stay on there. So yes, in the beginning, like all these other things, your timing of making corrections is precedent setting. So in the beginning, I want you to invest the time into thinking about what you're going to do before you do it, then taking the dog out, thereby you being ready to make timely corrections. Eventually, you're going to say, Dan, I don't even have to say it. I point at it and he goes on it. You know, I don't have to, I can put him on a sit and walk around and I know he's going to stay there. But until then, you know, you're kind of programming the computer. And just like with a computer, garbage in, garbage out. So you have to give him that, give him the opportunity. Let's take him outside. I'm going to show you one more thing since we're here. Heel. Good boy. Now, if you have one of these guys, sit. Sit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heel. Good. Notice I even threw a little recall command into that. Use the doorways. They'll be very helpful. If you have one of these dog hides, these little camo dog hides, you'll have a boatload of fun, and you'll incorporate it into your retrieving drills on a day-to-day basis. Heel. Come on, buddy. Whoops. Good boy. Sit. So the first thing you want to do, now, did you buy one of these already? Sit.
Not yet.
Sit.
I was
Okay.
going to, and then I
Good. He knows that if he gets in there, he's going to get a retrieve.
We were talking about brands. Do you like the Tangle Free?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Initially I didn't.
I suggested Avery.
Hup, hup, sit. No. Oh boy, I wonder if a female got in there. He's sniffing around. Sit. Okay. So when you first put him in there, I want you to actually do a fun retrieve out of it. Hey, 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 sit. Nope, nope. Clue, 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 clue. Okay. So get him in and then basically say clue and set him out. Good boy, all right. Hey, hey. All right, good boy. All right, all right, all right. Good. Sit. Now the command is kennel. Good. Now there must have been a female running there. Either that or every once in a while one of my trainer will throw a bird in there to get him in there. But this morning I did it and he wasn't sticking his nose in it. But normally he'll flip around. Hey, hey. Sit. Place. Place. Sit. Good. Now, if he pops his feet out, because that's something he had to be taught, we'll just go like this, like you're going to step on his feet, and he'll pull them back in. But the part of the whole thing is that little crossbar in the front. I want his feet in there. That's hilarious. Clue is that he's got to stay in there to get the retrieve. And if you can get one of these also, Bob, heel. Yeah, and I would sit.
Oh, that's a quail, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a pheasant, right? Exactly. What I like is to have 2 or 3 objects that are what I would call the icing on the cake or the dessert, right? Sit. So we only use these when we're trying to simulate a hunt, like we get the dog hide out, maybe we got a blank pistol and a duck call.
Yeah.
These are the special items that he only gets once in a while, and that'll make him even more fired up, and it will allow you to better simulate a bird. If he's more fired up about this, he's going to be a little closer to what would happen if you were hunting a bird. Place, or kennel. Sit, mark. I like to throw him really high so the dog gets used to looking up. Clue.
Would you call this kennel or place?
Yeah, I said place accidentally. It's kennel. If he gets, it's real simple. If he gets into a hole where he's got to go in, it's kennel. If he gets up on something, it's place. Sit. I see how he's flipping his head. Sit, Nick. Sit. No. Sit. Every time his head came up, sit, Nick. And again, I've set it really low.
Okay.
So I'm not going to cause any sort of panic response.
What's it set to?
It's 7 right now. So again, when you first get him out, I would go anywhere between 9 and 11 on this particular unit, and then I would say once he calms down, I would probably go between 7, 8, something like that.
Okay.
And you might have to dial up and dial down. Just be consistent in how you put the collar on so you know you're getting the right, and then you can make a science out of it. We adjust the amount of pressure on a day-to-day basis as their mood changes, and plus the collar, as it ages, the battery function will be a little bit different, so you'll have to just use logic when you do that. So again, everything that I showed you in the other retrieving area applies with this as well, with regards to keeping his momentum, how many retrieves to do. Let's talk about how many times to do retrieving per week. You could literally do retrieving drills with him every day as long as you're maintaining his enthusiasm, which is the number one priority. Maintaining the enthusiasm is number one, and number two is maintaining the discipline. Okay? So how do you maintain his enthusiasm? The way that you present it, number one, fun retrieve. A lot of praise when he's bringing it back. Okay? How do we maintain discipline? Heel Nick if he does anything wrong out there. Sit Nick if he starts flailing his head around, and an ear pull if he drops the dummy, followed by just taking several steps back and making him finish the retrieve.
So to distinguish between fun retrieves and discipline retrieves.
Well,
You call
all
his name.
retrieves, the actual retrieve and the return must be disciplined. Okay, the two distinguishable retrieves that I was talking about is a fun retrieve versus a steady retrieve.
There we go.
Right. And the steady steady retrieve you're going to do when you feel like his momentum is high. When you walk out and you say, Dan, I know he'll retrieve 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to err on doing more steady retrieves.
Okay.
If he's looking around like, I really don't know if I want to do this right now, you're going to err on the fun retrieves to get him ramped up.
Okay. Okay.
So those are just two tools that you're constantly varying. It's like riding a wave.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have a feeling that if you set him up properly and you do obedience first and you get him disciplined and then you do it in a yard where there's not a lot of other crazy things going on,
Okay.
I think he's going to do a lot of retrieves for you.
Okay.
Sit. And if you have any issues, and you will, just contact me.
I will.
And do it sooner than later. I'd much rather answer a few easy questions and get you back on track quickly, because bad habits are like weeds. The bigger they get, the faster they grow.
Yep.
So, as old Barney Fife said, nip it in the bud.
Gotcha.
All right. Good boy. All right. Hey, kennel. Oh, his foot's out. Watch. See, as I walk up, he's pull it back in. Where's that mark? Where's your mark? Hey, no, where's your mark? Clue. Woo! I'll show you one other thing too. Now heel Nick. See that? He stopped for a second and wanted to sniff. All right. Sometimes I'll quit on, hey, fun retrieve. Hey. Hep. On a fun retrieve with an undisciplined, He says, I'm retrieving the rubber duck now. Heel. Good boy. Every once in a while, I can finish out on an undisciplined, or an informal delivery. 1 out of 4 or 5 times. It doesn't hurt. Heel. All right. Good boy. Yeah. Buddy, you're graduating and you don't even know it. Yeah. You don't even know it, buddy. Sit. Nope, sit, Nick. Good. All right. Good boy. All right, Bob.
Wow. That's a lot of Ferrari.
Yeah.